Good morning or afternoon, depending where you are, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for joining us today for a very special episode of Recruit Military Live, where not only will we be discussing the value of mentorship in shaping our career goals, but also celebrating, I cannot believe it, a decade, the 10th year anniversary of the partnership between DAV and Recruit Military. My name is Gabby Pettigrew, and I'm very excited to be reintroducing our guest for today. He is the National Employment Director at Disabled American Veterans, as well as a U.S. Navy and Army veteran. With over 25 years in communication services, he excels in hiring, training, and regulatory knowledge, skillfully reducing costs while enhancing service quality. His adaptability and strategic sales acumen have driven his success in both the legal and sales sectors. His military expertise further solidifies his capability as a dynamic leader and committed team player. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Lamarr Couser. Welcome back to the show, Lamarr.
Hey, Gabby.
Good morning or afternoon where you are. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's always excited to come here.
Yes, and we are obviously, as I mentioned, extremely excited also to be celebrating the 10th year anniversary between DAV and Recruit Military. I know I've only been with Recruit Military for just under 3 years now, but just those 3 years have flown by. And I can't believe 10 years between the two organizations and just the multitude of accomplishments between those two companies, what they've been able to accomplish for the military community.
Yeah, I mean, on a short note, 10 years, a decade of service. And, from what I understand, our partnership, 1,000 events. Over 187,000 job offers. That's insane. That's insane.
That's absolutely phenomenal, and where we would not have it any other way, with no other mission, no other purpose than continuously serving the military community. So just had to get that out there, start the show on an even better note, but even more excited also to be discussing today the value of mentorship. I think it's something that, we've harped on before, we've discussed before, but we haven't really taken really a personal note and a deep dive into, especially from personal experiences. And I think having you on here today also, especially being dual service between the U.S. Navy and U.S. Army, you have such a multitude of wealth and knowledge when it comes to not only having been mentored within those two services, and also since your transition to the civilian sector, but also being a mentor as well. So I'd love to just jump right into this. And first, we can both kind of talk about what it was like to receive mentorship, to be mentored while in the service, while an active duty, Marine, Army, sailor.
Yeah, I think from personal experience, I guess, and wow, when you say 25 years of service, it makes me sound like I should be walking around here with maybe a cane or something. But no.
You and me both. My knee's been hurting. The cold is getting to me already.
Time does go by fast. But I think anybody can tell you that that serving in the military, you kind of look back at those lived experiences with a different lens, kind of while you're active. And all I can tell you is on the Navy side, which I did 12 years on, I just had the fortunate pleasure of serving not only overseas, not only in Hawaii and San Diego and Virginia, all those different commands and all those different units. There's just, I guess, to be really honest and clear, I mean, you get bad mentors too, right? But you get bad mentors, but it's the real good ones that really stand out. And I just had the fortunate pleasure of being mentored by really good leaders. And it just gave me the ability to really learn from the mistakes of the bad leaders and say, well, I'm not going to make those same decisions when I get a chance to lead a sailor or a soldier. So you can take something from both of those.
Exactly. And I was just thinking about this and kind of reminiscing this morning of thinking about what were all the ways? Because seemingly it's something that we discussed. You don't realize that you're being mentored, because you're in a role, you're in a rank, and you're falling within the chain of command, and you're being told where to be, what to be wearing, and what time to be there. But really, that mentorship starts, well, for me, in my instance, when I stepped on those yellow footprints, the day you arrive to boot camp. Because what are those drill instructors? What are those drill sergeants? If anything but mentors, they are there to guide you and lead you through those next few months of training and shape you into the person that you will become after that graduation ceremony. And I was really thinking, I was like, yeah, my first mentors in the Marine Corps. Well, I guess if you even want to go back further, is your recruiter. And we all know we don't have to, not every recruiter is made the same, but I know even my recruiter was like had great morals, really, what was on me when it came to my physical fitness, was on me when it came to like studying for all my knowledge tests as well, and really set the standard for what I was going to be doing in boot camp, and making sure I had all the great first impressions of what to expect. But the mentorship starts so early, and I feel like going into that, if I would have known that, I would have been more more accepting, and not as like scared or like hesitant, or just just feeling like I was being yelled at. Like, what is the message that you're actually receiving? So literally from day one of being in the military till you're actually in the fleet, you're at your first duty station, second, third, or fourth, and you're now being mentored by an NCO or a staff NCO, and you don't even realize that you are receiving that mentorship, whether it's professional guidance, or like me, I always found a way to be very personal with both my junior and higher ups, like not only just be the rank that I had on my shoulder and see them for the rank that they were, but also connect to them on a human to human level and receive guidance in that way. And I don't know if you have any personal stories of that, if you had, a specific mentor, NCO, staff NCO officer while you were in either service that really sticks out in your mind, and you think back, you're like, not only was this person just a great leader, but I learned so much for them and have been continuing to apply those lessons throughout my military career and now civilian career.
Well, yeah, I think one that sticks out the most is my Navy career. And at the time, I'd probably been in probably about 8 years. I had served in San Diego, was transitioning from Hawaii, and I took a pre-commissioned ship, the U.S. Harry S. Truman. The warrant officer, because I was a full service, I was in full service. Warrant officer on that ship, his name was CW05 Leon Cole, and he was just really a straight up person, very disciplined. He really taught you got to know the job before you can deviate from the job. So he really set a lot of skills in the people that he had under him to really understand, be a professional, but learn your job, learn how to do your job, learn how to do your job well. Then you can translate that into a way to, really deviate from it and grow it. But if you don't know the basics, I mean, how can you say, well, I don't want to do that? So he really instilled that. And for that point was the ability to really get promoted and elevate through the ranks, because I mean that's how all of your tests that you're having. The Navy-wide exam was based off of your understanding of the profession, and if you wanted to escalate above all the other folks, you had to know more than the other people. So he really pressed that. He gave us time to train. He gave us time to learn the books. He taught the book. He taught by the book. So you're always learning things that when that test came, you were doing it every day. So it wasn't new to you. So I love that part about his mentorship.
Yeah. And I feel like, because I'm thinking back to the leadership that I had throughout my service in the Marine Corps, and I feel as if obviously we gravitate towards mentors who are like-minded to us, like who can still teach us so many things, but have the same, morals, and have the same kind of characteristics and mindset as us. Because whether it was an officer or whether it was a senior staff NCO member, from my first duty station to my last, it was always individuals who, were humorous, were professionally driven, had goals, had aspirations, but were humorous and knew how to enjoy the job, do the job well and do it correctly, but also enjoy it and have fun, and who were family individuals as well. And I think that really helped encourage me and continue to shape who I was as a person. Like, yeah, I am on the right track. Like, look at them, 10, 15, 20 years into their service, and look how much they've accomplished. Like, I can do that too. So thinking back, whether like my very first OIC, Captain Morris, who actually, he was my first officer as a Lance Corporal, my first duty station. And then he ended up actually being my promoting officer as a staff sergeant, because we stayed in contact. It's that type of mentorship that stays in your mind and follows you through your career. And you're like, okay, I got to do Captain Morris proud. And then, your next duty station, I one of my favorite staff NCO leaders was a Master Guns Crest. He's retired now as well. But same, he transitioned from being a grunt, the O3 field into our career field, did a lap move. And same thing, you did not want to mess around with this dude when it came to getting the job done and finish accomplishing the mission. But he was also the guy that was encouraging us to go and have fun at PT and do something that isn't just running 10 miles and destroying your knees, but going out there and having fun and building that camaraderie and enjoying, just being with your brothers and sisters to the left and right of you. And that all, again, like really struck a chord with me. And is like, it's not just about like just getting the work done and then going home. Like, get to know your brothers and sisters to the left and right of you, take care of them, have their back, and enjoy your time with each other, because it's fleeting. And just that whole melting pot of, our time in service and all the different people, I feel like they've helped shape us into who we are now. And seeing that level of mentorship and leadership, how has that for you transitioned into the civilian sector? Once you got out, especially after, that many years of service, have you been able to find mentors for you as a civilian once you did transition out? Because I feel like that's a high bar to reach, right?
It is a high bar. And to kind of touch back on what you said previously, and it kind of, I think it kind of connects to the transition piece, onboarding, right? I mean, onboarding for a service member is so critical in regards to how they enter the military and what happens once you're in the military, right? Because for me, when we kind of talk about it, I even think that the onboarding started with me when I got stationed in San Diego, didn't know I had any family there, came from Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm just a guy that's on board of a ship and don't really understand the area, the California area. And, it takes that connection with the folks that you work with to get you off the boat, to show you around, to tell you places not to go to, tell you the places to go to, just to hanging out to de-stress from the day-to-day grind of a job. Because you find that camaraderie there as well, because, serving in the military is daunting. And for the Navy, you got long deployments. And if you don't have family that are kind of there in the same state, you kind of rely on the people that are kind of with you to sort of mentor you and support you and be that family.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to put that there. But on the transition side, just to tie it in, the onboarding part is important too, because it's kind of like what we do here with our partnership, right? As soon as a transition service member comes to one of our hiring events, the first thing we do is educate them on how their transition is going to work, whether they're still in and they want to do a skill bridge, whether they are looking for a job in a specific field, whether they, like our services, want to be connected to VA benefits or healthcare benefits, or understand ways to be a part of our organization and learn more. We're there to sort of mentor them what the transition looks like. And I think the cool thing about it is that they respect us because we're veterans helping veterans.
Yes, exactly. And I think what a lot of people don't realize that are transitioning from the service is that, one, they may never have taken, that those leadership roles that as mentors. They may never have looked at that NCO, staff NCO officer as a mentor. They may just have looked at them as, like they're my boss kind of thing. When in reality, you take a step back and you're like, wow, I've been getting mentored for the last 4, 10, 20 years. And so when they get out, if they never had that type of mindset, they may continue to kind of have that stubborn, like, I can do it all on myself, which I was very much that person as well. Sometimes like, oh no, I don't need someone like holding my hand and guiding me through the transition process. But that's not what it is. It's people that have walked your exact footsteps, who have been in those boots, that are now transitioning to dress shoes, and have been in your shoes, and that can tell you what those lessons learned, that don't want to see you go through the same obstacles and the same stress and chaos that transition can be for some. And they want you to learn from their lessons. And so organizations, that we partner with as well, such as Veterati, ACP, that are meant to like link you up with a mentor and help you, whatever your road is, to whichever industry, whether that's to school, whether that's to a specific job, whether that's changing career fields after doing something, one specific job field for the last 15 years. These organizations are there to you go through an interview process to figure out like who you are, what it is you want to do, and find you a specific match with someone, with a mentor that they feel can guide you to the right steps, down the right path, so that you are on the path for success. And I feel like that's something that, if those individuals who may be a bit hesitant to say like, yes, I need a mentor right now, they maybe just aren't fully aware of the process and what the options are for them out there, even before they're making that transition process, during that process, or even after, as a veteran, and they've been struggling, like, oh, there's these type of organizations and programs out there that can give me a helping hand, because I'm kind of, there's maybe like too much information out there and I don't know where to pick from, or I'm just kind of lost in the sauce.
I agree. I got to go back a century when I wasn't really around to understand that the very thing that we're talking about now was some of the reasons why DAV was founded over 100 years ago. I mean, our founder basically decided that the government coming from World War I was ill-equipped to handle the problems that were veterans that were coming back from that war was facing.
Yeah.
And what we see now is kind of a piggyback from that. My grandfather, who was a World War II veteran and a Vietnam veteran, basically got mentored by the World War I veterans. And so that lessons learned from all of these different area wars sort of circles back to where we're at right now. And even during my transition, I'm old enough to say that I've taken care of pretty much all my battle buddies, and family members. But the cool thing about it is that when you help someone and you do it the right way, they help someone as well.
Exactly. And it's just continuing, passing the torch, right? It's you want to see that person succeed, and from them take all your teachings and pass it on to the next person as well. And I guess that kind of goes directly into, our next topic is coming full circle. Now, having been mentored through the military service, been mentored maybe like through a program like ACP or Veterati, and receiving all that mentorship, now you are in the position of being a mentor yourself now, which is wild, because I still sometimes view myself as that Lance Corporal getting to their first duty station and not knowing what was what. But now you're in the position where you're able to now pass down guidance and resources and lessons learned, and help others now in your position. How has that been for you, especially in the role that you hold now?
Well, I can tell you from personal experience that you had mentioned ACP, understanding how, when you do enough work at the front end to really understand exactly what a veteran's interests are, and you match them specifically with the kind of resources, then what happens is that mentorship partnership is going to work well, because they have aligned goals, they have aligned values. And when you essentially are sitting there talking to someone who has a wealth of knowledge, when you don't feel like you're being mentored, but you're learning a lot, that's great. Just think about working with a family member who understands a trade. Just being hands-on, walking that walk and understanding how they're communicating with contractors, and just the work in doing that. You learn something. But look, you were just present at the time. You're just having dialogue, but you keep those memories and that understanding, and it just carries on. And then you learn something from that, so you share it.
Absolutely. And I can say that it's kind of the same feeling again, I guess, is that when you were being mentored, you kind of don't realize it. You're just, you're doing the day-to-day work, and you're having day-to-day conversations, and you're learning things as you go, but you're not in the mindset that you're being actively mentored. That kind of transitions into now being a mentor and passing down guidance and teaching others what you have to impart. Is I never go around and think like, oh, I mentor so many people, or I'm this type of person, I'm so full of wisdom. Like, that's not, I don't know, I think the opposite at times quite a bit, but that's exactly the position that we're in. And it's honestly like very refreshing, I guess, to think back on everything that you have learned and those that you have learned it from. And now, like, getting to pay homage to those mentors and to that process, and now continue it in yourself, and just hope that you're doing a good job and doing your previous leaders and mentors justice.
Right, right. And I don't know if I'm frozen on your end, but I'll keep talking because I want to make sure that we continue the conversation, despite the technical issues that we might be dealing with. But yeah,
And
I
they
really
call
don't.
you on a good face, by the way, because with my luck, I'd be stuck with like like so weird things. But
Yeah,
it's got like a very stern, stone cold Steve Austin type of look. So at least it throws you in a good spot.
that's pretty cool. But yeah, so it's kind of ironic and funny to really think of myself as a mentor, but I get it. When you've been mentored or led by a lot of great leaders, and you have a lot of great knowledge, and you understand ways to help folks, um, like we do here at DAV, it's really easy to have that conversation and meet folks where they're at their level, and just help them navigate whatever challenges that they have. Because what happens is kind of like, just like with anything, sometimes you're telling someone, but you're not really speaking to them in the way that they can understand it. But when
Yeah.
you're having a conversation with someone, and it's kind of like talking to a family member or something like that, you're just helping them navigate challenges. I think that's where we're really successful. And that's typically how I like to navigate conversations with folks. I really don't like to tell folks what to do. I just like to educate them
Yeah.
on the resources and the things that are available to them.
Exactly. Like, pass down advice and advise them is exactly what we like to do. And that this happened, which is wild to think, because now I'm just like thinking back all the moments where I've just like helped individuals without even, by just having a conversation with them. I just went to our Phoenix event this past Thursday, and there was a E9, a first sergeant in the Marine Corps there, and he was going to be soon retiring, I believe in February, this upcoming February, and he was dressed to the nines, like just sharp as a tack, and was making his way out. And I pulled him aside and just talked to him for a bit, and I said, "Hey sir, like, did you find everything that you were looking for today? Did you have a good time at the job fair here today?" And he was like, "Yeah, it was great." And he's like, "Unfortunately, the employer that I had showed up for wasn't able to make it here today, but I talked to a few other people, and so I'm going to head on out." And I was like, "Okay, well, we do have over 60 employers here today," and he wasn't there to make it to the kickoff speech, where our amazing event directors, who was Raul at that day as well, pass down all of the tips for the job fair right there, right before they kick it off, right before they let all of the job seekers out to explore the job fair. So he missed kind of those like tidbits of wisdom. And so it's me, this person who got out as a staff sergeant, who's like, just feels so not at the level of this E9 first sergeant who's close to retiring. Like, who am I to tell you, like, to give you advice in this position? But I told him, I was like, "Hey, I know this is something that we advise to all of our job seekers. It's great to come to these job fairs looking amazing as you are, and having a battle plan, knowing who you want to talk to. Yes, talk to those individuals, talk to those companies, but please don't do yourself a disservice. Go and talk to every single one out there, because we are all, even me at the beginning of this, was under the assumption that certain organizations only had certain jobs. Like, oh, if I go and talk to Lowe's or Home Depot, I'm going to be working in a warehouse moving lumber. Like, no, like I learned that they have a very strong desire to hire individuals for IT because they're building, you know, an internal database and all this IT stuff that I don't know anything about. But I would never have thought like, hey, I'm an IT guy, I'm a security guy. I need to go talk to Lowe's, you know? So we talked for maybe about 45 minutes, and it was really funny because this first sergeant was actually a drill instructor when I was on Parris Island as a recruit.
Wow.
So he's like, when did you go through? I was like, 2010. He's like, oh, so you were on the island when I was there as a drill instructor. And I was like, small world. But, you know, he went back in there and he stayed another, I think, 30, 45 minutes and came back out. And he's like, I'm glad that, you know, you told me to go back in because I got some more contacts, got some good networking. I'm going to follow up with a few more people. And it's just, that is mentorship. That in itself, you don't have to stay, you know, like in touch. Usually mentors stay in touch and you have a more prolonged time with that mentor and mentee, that relationship. But that in itself is, now he'll take that, and maybe if he goes to, you know, any other job fair or any other organization, he'll say like, hey, don't just speak to people that you know or that you're familiar with or that you think you'll gel with. Branch out, get out there. Maybe he'll take that lesson and apply it to other aspects of his life. And, you know, for me, that was just a conversation. For me, that was just like, you know, shooting the breeze with a Marine who's about to retire and talking about like the boot camp days to, you know, our entire journey in the service thus far. But that in itself is mentorship. It doesn't have to be this, you know, this very like formal suit and tie, sitting down with, you know, a notepad and a pen and drawing out your entire life right there. So for some people, they want that. But for others, just having an open conversation with, you know, with no pressure is all it takes to be a good mentor.
Yeah, I like those. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Am I in
And you're coming in loud and clear. I can see it too.
Okay, I just came back from the metaverse. I got a lot to report. But the cool thing about it is, yeah, and I've been part of those kickoff speeches, so they're always great before our events. And we give them a lot of the service members that attend, families and dependents, a little bit of an understanding. You know, expand your network. I mean, you're really there to try to expand your network. And then, you know, some of the tidbits that I will tell our audience here today is that when you attend our job fairs and you have an expectation to just go see certain employers, that unknown employer is there. You just don't know it. You know, folks that attend our hiring events have made a business case to be inclusive of the veteran community. And what we want to do is have them communicate with everybody. One of the things that we see a lot is that, you know, brand awareness. A lot of military service members don't understand certain companies because they're not associated with them. Learn more about them, connect with them. Just because someone's wearing a police uniform doesn't mean that you're going to be in patrol or you're going to be working in a prison. You know, police have a fleet of vehicles. They need maintenance. They have cyber, they have tech, they have AI. They have a lot of different ways that they're trying to use technology to solve crime. So, you know, just because they're wearing a uniform, and a lot of our law enforcement folks say they wish they could just come in plain clothes because they are not getting the kind of traction because a lot of folks think that they're just going to be hiring for security or whatever. But yeah, expand your network, talk, ask questions. Just because they're there, they want the engaged, they want to be asked. So I express to everyone to really visit, network, and expand your knowledge of a company for potential to follow back up with them at a later time.
Precisely. And it's something that I tell every single job seeker that I speak to. You never know what that conversation and what that handshake could lead to down the road. You know, it's how I got one of my first positions when I got out of the Marine Corps, was just having a conversation with a family photographer who, you know, was leaving her position and thought of me to replace her. And boom, like that was my first job when I got out of the Marine Corps, and especially during COVID time. Like it was just a blessing, but that never would have happened if I hadn't just talked to this person, this, you know, former Marine as well, who was also in my MOS, and just had a conversation and continued that networking as well. So please. And speaking of events, we would be remiss if we did not discuss what was going down tomorrow for our Cincinnati, greater Cincinnati area job fair.
Yes, we're really excited about it. We're going to be starting the preparation for that in a couple of hours, but September the 26th, 2024. we're going to be out there here at our national headquarters here in Cincinnati. I mean, not in Cincinnati, in Kentucky. We're
Mhm.
really excited about it because it's also our 10-year anniversary. So
Yes.
it's going to be a really cool event for those folks that live in the tri-state area. And the tri-state area, I mean Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Kentucky, and kind of are in our area. I recommend that they go to register for our event, come down and see what we
Mhm.
got going on. This is a great opportunity for veterans and their family to really visit our organization. We're open to the
Yes.
public. Come visit our museum, come network, see some employers, come learn more about DAV and how to be involved. It's going to be a great event. We're really excited about it.
And the building looks absolutely phenomenal also. It literally is a museum. I looked at it and I was like, holy cannolis, that is one heck of a headquarters, that's for sure. Over
Yeah.
50 employers will be there tomorrow as well. So please, like we said, go out there, enjoy the festivities, speak to every single employer, speak to fellow candidates as well. Try to make it there for that kickoff speech so you see what exactly we're talking about when we say it. Not only is it great tips, but our event directors just give you that motivation, that oomph, that boost in confidence that you really
Absolutely.
need. So try to
Absolutely.
make it there early as well. And also for everyone that joined today, thank you also for joining, and reach out today to that mentor. That's one thing, is that, it may have been a while since you maybe thought about them, or you may have lost touch, or maybe you're just not that you're that type of that friendship, that mentor mentee relationship where you can go years without talking, months without talking, but then when you do, it's like 2 minutes have passed. You know what I mean? So reach out, say how you do, and say thank you for everything that you did and all the wisdom that you imparted, and especially because they are part of who made you who you are today. So Lamarr, thank you again so much for
Thank you.
joining us today and imparting your wisdom, mentoring us as you always have. And good luck with, I wish I was there tomorrow. I'll still be here in Phoenix where it's still 90 degrees, but I'll be envious. I'll be having a lot of FOMO for the event out there, for our Greater Cincinnati Area Veterans Job Fair. Thank you so much. I wish you well. Thank you for joining us today. And we will see you all for our next episode of Recruit Military Live. Have a great day.